Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Gibby Knows Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Big Gibby. I'm joined here with my little brother, Little Gibby. Today we're going to recap the college football playoff quarterfinals and all the games that came with that. We had 4 different bowl games this week, Seth. We're going to start with the Fiesta Bowl. That was Penn State taking on Boise State. That was the first game this week. We had Penn State winning 31-14. Give us your thoughts before we kind of get into this game's recap.
Well, Penn State looked stronger, bigger, and faster. You remember early in the first half, they were one bad play, one bad fumble away from going up 21-0, skunk rolling them super early in the first half. Boise State got a little bit of momentum on some of those fumbles and made the game a little interesting and competitive. But overall, Penn State was just bigger, stronger, faster. You could tell it on the trenches. It just different level of play. Poor Genty, though. Genty was running his heart out, but he had to break about 5 or 6 tackles before he could even move on. So
yeah, that was the thing that we had talked about previously last week. We had said that if Penn State wins the game, it's going to be because they didn't let Ashton Genty beat them, and they certainly didn't. I mean, he had 30 carries for 104 yards, and that was a 3.5 average.
Yeah.
He busted one long run of 26 yards, but other than that, I mean, they kept him in check. And they kind of exposed Boise State. That was what most people worried about with them being, one of the teams that get a bye in the playoff. Do they have anybody other than Genty that can beat you? And Matson played well at times at QB for Boise State, but he threw 3 picks, and that you can't do that at a big game like that. I was very impressed with Penn State's defense. We're going to talk a little bit about the matchup that they have coming up with Notre Dame, but their defense has carried them to this point this year, and I was pleasantly surprised with how well their box guys played, their D-line, their linebackers, keeping Genty, corralled. They did a fantastic job with the game plan, and Drew Aller did just enough.
Dude, he's really good. He is really good. He's going to be when it's his time, there's going to be some GMs. I've watched a lot of podcasts recently that he popped out on the screen to them this weekend. So,
yeah, to me, he's just like your typical. He's a game manager. Like he's not gonna make many mistakes. He's going to do a good job of controlling the offense.
100%.
Playing on script, playing on time.
He's got the size.
They ran the ball so effectively against Boise State. I mean, they rushed for 216 yards as a team. The Katron Allen kid, I mean, that dude's legit. He's got some breakaway speed, as well as the Singleton kid. And then Tyler Warren, I mean, he may be the best receiver / tight end prospect in the entire draft.
How nice would it be if the Cowboys get him?
We'll talk about that later, but him as a weapon in the red zone is a killer. I mean, he is an assassin in the red zone. He's almost unguardable.
He's a mismatch.
When you get down there.
You can't match him up, especially at the college level. What are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to tell a 21-year-old kid secondary? How are you supposed to line up against him? I mean,
I would try to find a way to bracket him almost every play if I could, especially with how much he lines up, inside, either as an inline tight end or off the ball tight end or in the slot. They'll put him out wide sometimes as well. Penn State does a good job of moving him around and getting him some open looks. All right, so that was the Fiesta Bowl. Let's move into the game of the week, and that was the Peach Bowl between Texas and Arizona State. Texas comes out on top after 2 overtimes, beating Arizona State 39-31. This game was crazy. The last 5 minutes of this game were insane. Texas goes up. I believe it was
16.
20. Yeah, they were up 16 points.
16 points in the fourth quarter.
At one point in the fourth quarter, and Arizona State storms all the way back to tie the game.
They have some grit, man. They have some grit to them.
Kind of give me your thoughts into that, and then I'll go off of you.
It's the typical Ewers game. He looks really, really good in some moments, and then he'll disappear, make a bad mistake, and then look really good again. He's a good quarterback. Like I said earlier podcast, I hope they switch to another because when Ohio State comes to play, it's going to be a whole different ball game. But Arizona State, you think the game was over at some point, but they had some grip to them. They had some fire to them. That Scatabo running back is legit. I mean, that dude, you got to have 5 guys that take him down. The dude's throwing up on the sideline, still going out there. It looks like he has no air in him at all, and he's still lining up and going toe to toe because Texas has some really good NFL caliber defensive players, and he's still doing that. I know he got a lot of good feedback from a lot of podcasts I saw earlier from NFL GMs, NFL assistant GMs that saying he could fit a role in the NFL. But overall, Texas looked like the better team. They just let off the gas pedal.
Yeah, that has been the issue with this team for some reason. Even in the Clemson game, and they kind of jump out to a lead, and it's like they take their foot off the gas.
Yeah.
And Sark's whole mantra since he's got hired at Texas was all gas, no brakes. Well, it just seems like for some reason this offense sputters out at times. And it has become very clear if they do not run the ball effectively, they are not the same offense. They have to figure something out before they play Ohio State. We'll talk more about that matchup coming up here in a sec. But they did not run the ball effectively against Arizona State. Arizona State, has a good defense. They were number 2, I think, in the Big 12 in stopping the run. But this is a team they shouldn't have been able to run for more than 53 yards on. Wisner had 18 carries for 45 yards. The longest carry of the game for any Texas ball carrier was a 7-yard run. Like that's not a recipe for success. Thankfully, Quinn Ewers did play so well in the last 5 minutes of that game. I mean,
yes.
after the really bad pick, that he settled in after that and he was lights out. And I'd said in my little immediate reaction video, like to me, that performance cemented him as one of the Texas greats. He already has the numbers to put it up. To me, he kind of lacked that defining, like, here I am moment. And the way he played in the overtime period, and kudos to Sark for scheming up some great plays. But he made a throw on 4th and 13 with the season on the line to send them, into another overtime. Like, that was insane to me.
He made some good throws.
That play where, he recognizes that it's a double mug blitz that they're sending. He changes the protection up front. Arizona State's post safety, for some reason, gets lost looking in the backfield, and he just throws one up over to him to Golden, who obviously had an incredible game. That was probably his best game as a Longhorn. He had 7 catches for almost 150 yards in that touchdown. That was huge for the Longhorns.
Yep.
And then to that very next drive, they start on offense. That's on the second overtime, and they schemed Gunnar Helm, on a Y slip throwback, wide open touchdown. But Ewers put it right on the money to take the lead. And then on the 2-point conversion,
that was the best throw of the game by far.
They motion to a stack again.
Put it in a window.
He rolls out and it puts it on a dime to where only the receiver could catch it to go up, 8 points. Yep. And then effectively we're able to stop Arizona State on that next drive. The big interception that they had by Makuba to seal the game. I mean, it was a classic. It's one that people are going to talk about for 100%. A long, long time.
Great game. Classic.
The best game we've gotten so far in the college football playoff.
100%. I will say this about Ewers is, like, he gets that rep of being, let's say, not like he doesn't jump out on the screen to you as far as like flashy plays. He's not like a Cam Ward. He's not going to run around the pocket and make plays like Caleb Williams. His game is like he's going to process the field. He's going to go through his reads, go through his progressions. He's going to make throws. And sometimes to the average fan or fans like me that just want, like, move around a little bit, he's not that kind of quarterback. But he is a great quarterback at the line of scrimmage. He'll go through his reads. He'll go through his progression. People, if you ever see him dump off the ball, that's how fast he's reading the field. He goes 1, 2, 3, boom, dumps it off. Like, that's stuff that translates to the NFL. He just makes like the throw, that pick, the intercept. That's like, what are we doing? I don't understand how that happens. But like you said earlier, that could be the way they practice. So he throws those deep balls like he's damn Russell Wilson in 7-on-7.
Yeah, that is probably my biggest issue with Quinn. It seems to me when he throws the ball deep in the middle of the field. Now, when he's throwing it, outside the numbers towards the sideline,
Got a great
he's
spiral on it. Great ball.
he's a much better thrower of the deep ball. But for some reason, to the middle of the field,
Just
he
lobs that
tends
son.
he tends to underthrow it quite a bit, and part of it is he allows so much hang time on some of those throws. We talk about like level 1, level 2, level 3 balls. Like some of those need to be,
On the line.
you know,
Level 1, level 2.
thrown with a little more velocity instead of with so much air. But I understand what he's trying to do. He's trying to give his receiver time to run underneath the catch because a lot of times they are so wide open, and he's just being too pretty with the ball sometimes instead of just letting it rip.
Because say right
but I
now,
mean,
that Arizona State secondary is not Ohio State secondary.
no.
It's going to be paradise for them if they keeps doing
Yeah.
that.
All right, so speaking of Ohio State, let's move into that matchup. Okay, they took on Oregon in the Rose Bowl.
Yep.
Before I even talk about the game, I want to talk about how much I love the Rose Bowl.
Rose Bowl is, it's awesome.
To me, like, I don't understand why college football doesn't make that somehow like their national championship venue every year. Like,
Put this set on College Game Day too.
yeah, it's just great. It's such a beautiful place to play. You and I both don't like Ryan Day very much, but he said something that I completely agree with before the game. It's like you walk out of the tunnel and it's just color everywhere. Like it's just so vibrant. It really pops out even on the TV screen when you're watching the game.
Beautiful. It's beautiful.
All right, but other than that, okay, so they took on Oregon, and this was probably the shock of the week. I think everybody thought this game was going to be close based on the first matchup, but Oregon was not ready to play. Ohio State took them to the woodshed.
I got some thoughts on that too.
And it was 34-0 at one point.
34-0. 34-0.
And it was complete domination for the Buckeyes. The final score ended 41-21. Give me your thoughts, Seth.
This goes back to it's the format. It's a little messed up because one, I don't understand why the number 1 seed doesn't get a home game when they have to sit out so long and wait to play. That there's a lot of time sitting before they can play. One, they got to play Ohio State twice, so they really got screwed over on getting the 1 seed because now they have to play arguably the best team in all of college football, Ohio State, for the second time. Why are they playing the second game of the playoff? That's just so stupid to me, and it's so stupid that a team like Boise State, all those Notre Dame, and was it who else had the home game last week? It was the Notre Dame. Who else? Who has a home game?
Penn State, Texas,
Texas, and who else? There's more than 3.
I forgot.
But why are the higher seeds not getting a home game? Because these neutral sites are sometimes at a disadvantage for some of these teams. It's just it's dumb in my opinion, but clearly they weren't ready to play. Ohio State had obviously you play that game first, and now you have all the momentum on your side going into this heavily anticipated matchup, and they hit them in the mouth. They really did. They had a great game plan. They stuck with it. They threw all kinds of looks at Dylan Gabriel, and he just couldn't process the field fast enough, I don't think. I mean, the dude was like running around for his life in the pocket, so really he couldn't keep his eyes downfield. Ohio State just came ready to play. Props to Ryan Day. I mean, I hate to say it because I don't really think he's the best of the best, but he came out there and had his team ready to play.
Yeah, we had kind of talked about this off screen. The difference in the first game, the first matchup, was Oregon allowed 0 sacks in that first matchup against Ohio State. And they very clearly, Jim Knowles and that defense, have kind of changed their identity since that first loss to Oregon. I mean, you go from 0 sacks to 8 sacks, and I believe they had 13 tackles for loss in that game. So, I mean, especially early on, like Oregon was consistently playing behind the chains, and Jim Knowles' defense, when you get into third and long situations, like you're not going to convert. And
There's so many
Oregon
NFL
was,
bodies on that side of the field.
yeah, Oregon
for
was
them.
terrible on third down, like just could not stay on the field. And Ohio State's offense was just operating with such precision. Like Chip Kelly, I guess, made it a personal vendetta to come back against Oregon with a better game plan, and it showed. I mean, it was a very balanced attack. Will Howard
He looks
was
good.
almost perfect. I mean,
He looks really good. Will
he
Howard
threw for
looks really
300
good.
yards. Jeremiah Smith is perhaps the best receiver in a long time come out of college at any level. I mean, he had 7 catches for 187 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's a really good NFL player.
Yeah, he looked the part. And then Travion Henderson, and Quinton Judkins. I mean, both of them rushed for almost 100 yards apiece. I mean, so
They were just
it was
dominant,
a very
dominant on every
balanced
side of the
attack,
ball.
and Oregon was just scratching their heads that entire first half, like in trying to play catch up. And
Yeah,
because they were behind the whole game, they couldn't run the ball effectively. I mean, they had negative 23 rushing yards when you count, the sack yards that Dylan Gabriel took. So I was pleasantly shocked with how that game turned out. I mean, I know Oregon scored a few late in the second half to make it, somewhat respectable. But I mean, the game was over in the first half, and
you could tell
a lot of people were shocked by that, including me.
Yep, they got hit in the mouth. They couldn't respond.
Got hit in the mouth. All right, which leads us to the last game of the week. Okay, we had the All-State Sugar Bowl. That was between Notre Dame and Georgia. That game got pushed back a day, which I'm sure that kind of throws off, the rhythm and the scheduling, for these coaches and players.
100%. 100%.
But kind of the same story as we got with the Penn State and Boise State game. I mean, Notre Dame's defense showed out. I mean, it was a 23-10 win over the Georgia Bulldogs. They were playing with a backup quarterback who I thought played pretty well, but I mean, Notre Dame just physically dominated that football game.
It was talk about the guy on the sideline that caused the Georgia to have a field goal in that possession. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Then that's a game-changing play right there.
Yeah.
They had to settle for a field goal when they be inside the 10-yard line with all the momentum on their side. You score a touchdown there, the game's a little bit different. But Notre Dame's defense looks really, really good. I mean, there's pro bodies on that side of the ball, and it's just hard to play. You got a backup quarterback for Georgia. I thought he was going to be a little bit better than what he was. He did make some big-time throws. Georgia continued their drop problem. They dropped 3 or 4 balls that were like first downs. I mean, it's just crazy. I don't understand how high level of a player can drop just wide open passes. That's just insane to me. And those
they
are
led the country in drops all year.
We know that with Dak Prescott, man, with the Cowboys, and you drop a pass, that's demoralizing. I mean, you can't do that. Not these games. But Georgia, they played good. That was a good game. I thought it was a good game overall. I think Marcus Freeman's when he had the special teams out there and then rushed offense out, made Kirby Smart and them a little bit panicked. Like you said, they probably should have took their time a little bit with the subs. But it's like they panicked and didn't know what to do. So props to Marcus Freeman. He put on a masterful class of coaching last night.
Yeah, we've seen that a lot in college football the last 2 years where teams will mass sub, and almost always the defense, they take their time running off the field, running guys onto the field, and it looks like guys are walking at times just to get the offense to have to burn a timeout when they sub late. And I was shocked at because I've seen Georgia do that many times, and it's like you said. I think because of the situation and because of the gravity of the game, like it caused them to freak out a little bit. Like,
and the players jumped, and it was automatic first down.
Yeah, and I think at that point Notre Dame was willing to, take a delay a game and then actually punt the ball.
And or if Kirby Smart calls a timeout there, they would have punted the ball away. 100%. And he was he wanted him to burn timeout. If not, then he was just going to take the free first down.
Yeah, it's not often that you see Kirby Smart get out coached, and like you said, I think he was in that moment.
100%.
The entire game, hinges on a couple of plays.
Yeah.
The two fumbles that Georgia lost, that Notre Dame recovered. That's what decided the game, in my opinion. Because Riley Leonard he threw for 90 yards, and they won. So if you'd have told me before the game, hey, Riley Leonard's only going to throw for 90 yards, and they're going to beat Georgia by 2 scores, I'd have been like, you're crazy.
But we said this last night. The Achilles heel for both Nick Saban and Kirby Smart is if you get a quarterback that can run around, because it's like they have everything schemed up perfectly. There's no way that they can't throw the ball down the field, but if that quarterback can run around the pocket and get out, they're dangerous to them. And that's what he did. He would just run around for 10, 15 yards at a time, and that's just like they have him on third. They have him on 3rd down and 8, 3rd down and 6, and he just roll out first down.
Yeah, he had 80 yards rushing for the game, and that was the difference. Notre Dame challenged Georgia to move the ball on them, through the air, and Stockton at times was able to complete some passes, but Notre Dame does what they did. Does what they do. They did all year. They just play man coverage. They're going to man receivers up. They have talent on the back end, and they were definitely not shying away from that. And they stuck to that game plan. And kudos to them. They get a matchup with Penn State. In the semifinal round. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and get into those games. So you have Penn State, you have Notre Dame, and to me, like, you have two of the same exact teams,
same model, same blueprint,
playing each other in the semifinal. Some people may not be, happy with this is the matchup we're getting.
I love it,
but
I love it. The more I think about it, I love it.
I could see this game being 13-10.
It's gonna be one hell of a game.
But it's two very similar styles of offense and defense going up against each other.
The deciding factor for me for this game, I think it's going to be, what's his name, Tyler Warren. Is that the tight end?
Yeah,
that's going to be the difference in the game. Can like you said, can Notre Dame stop that guy from getting key 3rd down conversions? Because I think that's what's going to be crucial for Penn State, is that if they can locate that guy on 3rd down or in the red zone, he can be a difference maker, because he's one hell of a matchup for anybody. So if Notre Dame can eliminate that, it's going to be tough. But this is going to be one heck of a matchup. Like you said, I don't see this getting very high scoring. We could be wrong, but this is going to be one hell of a matchup, 100%.
Yeah, if you had to take my money right now, who would I pick? It's hard to argue against Notre Dame with the defensive performance they just put on.
It's hard against Marcus Freeman. Hard to bet against Marcus Freeman.
And they've been in some big games like this. And Notre Dame just always seemingly has not been able to win some of the big games that they've been in recently. But this team just feels different. They're going to do the same thing that they did to Georgia. They're going to stack the box. They're going to play man coverage. And they're going to say, hey, Drew Aller, can you throw for 250 yards and beat us? And I don't know if they can against Notre Dame. But we're going to have two really talented defenses going against each other. But give me Notre Dame to go the Natty.
So with that game, you think they're going to try to play man on Tyler Warren? They're just going to run man against him?
Yeah.
Well, that worries me. I think that's just an advantage Penn State. Would it not be?
Maybe.
That dude is like, he's like young Gronk. Like, he literally is. He's like prime Gronk. That's what Gronk was, I think, an inch taller, which is insane. That's how big Gronk was. But this dude is pretty close to it. And he can move. He can run.
I have a feeling that they will have a plan for him.
Yeah. You'd hope.
Notre Dame is not Boise State. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I think they're just a much more complete football team.
They're a lot bigger. They're a lot bigger than Boise State.
The success that Penn State had on the ground rushing against Boise State, they're not going to do that against Notre Dame.
I'll tell you what.
It's going to turn into Drew Aller and Tyler Warren trying to beat Notre Dame.
I
feel like that is not what they want to do.
Drew Aller, this would be a game for him for NFL scouts. Like, because I know I've been watching all these podcasts and these reviews on him, and that's going to be a game where if he can go in there and produce against Notre Dame's defense, which has got some NFL bodies on it, this could be a good game for him. Well, let's move on to my game of the week, baby.
All right, so you got Texas and Ohio State. Let me just start by saying this has the potential to be a really good game, and it has potential to be a very bad game.
Real fast.
Two things stand out to me and worry me quite a bit with this matchup for Texas. Number one is the inability to run the football. If they cannot run the football, like they've shown against Georgia and Arizona State just most recently, it's going to be a long night.
They're going to be in trouble.
There are times that the offensive line for Texas looks really, really good, and there are times that they don't look very good. And we just saw Ohio State's defensive front completely dismantle Oregon.
Not even close.
With 8 sacks and 13 tackles for loss. I mean, Ohio State has guys all over the field that can make plays defensively. I was really like the Cody Simon linebacker kid for Ohio State. I mean, that dude is a monster.
Yeah.
He had 2 sacks and 3 tackles for loss against Oregon. They've got to find an answer for that guy. The second thing that worries me with Texas is the kicking game. I mean, you have a guy in Burt Auburn who has made more field goals than any kicker in Texas history, and there have been some really, really good kickers come out of Texas.
Man. Kickers, golly!
It's just the last few big time kicks that he's had, he's missed.
He might not want to show his face,
and everybody wants to talk about, the missed, call on the targeting with Michael Taaffe in the game. That should never even happen. Texas should have been in a situation where they kick the field goal and they win the game and it's over.
Sorry, Arizona State fans. Sorry about that.
Yeah, if it comes down to a moment in the game where it's Texas and Ohio State and it's 34-34 and there's 18 seconds left and Texas got to kick a 40-yard field goal, like
we're nervous. We're nervous right now.
I have no confidence right now in them being able to extend the game, to tie the game, or take the lead late.
I tell you right now,
because I don't know where it's going.
If Texas loses that game, that kicker might need to transfer. He might not survive in the dorms or apartments wherever he's living at because they're coming for him. Because he had done great all year long, and then the biggest moment of the season, not even close. Not even close. Yeah. I don't understand that. I don't understand that at all.
Just got to make your kicks.
The key for, like you said, run the ball. But I hope they utilize. I'm not saying you got to play him and start him, but like utilize Arch Manning a little bit. Like get him out there, do some packages for him that helps out Ewers a little bit. I think that helps out Ewers a little bit if you run some packages with Arch Manning. Just it helps everyone out. Okay, I don't want to get the situation like Georgia where Ewers his game is like he's going to sit in the pocket and he's going to be a pocket passer when the pocket is minimized. With Ohio State's defense, you got to be able to move around a little bit. Okay, so I think if you were to utilize Arch Manning a little bit, I know it sounds silly, but if you utilize him a little bit, I think that would throw off Ohio State a little bit. It really would. Because if you listen to the John Milcalf podcast, this guy's a great podcaster, assistant GM, or was a previous assistant GM. He was talking about there's literally 8 out of the 11 Ohio State defensive players that are potentially NFL starters or will be at one point. 8 out of 11. That's insane. Their defense is full of nothing but NFL bodies on it. Okay, so whatever you can to get the advantage on them and get the advantage early and maybe have some hiccups where you can have an open tight end like in the Arizona State game or mismatch. Find a way. But I trust that Sarkisian will sit back and realize he's got to do things a little bit differently. Because you can compare the Georgia defense a little bit to Ohio State, far as like their tenacity, they're fast, they're physical, they're gonna want to hit you at the line of scrimmage. I think Sarkisian will look at that and try to find the best way to get some, mismatches and the matchups he wants. So hopefully they will do that.
Yeah, I think that for sure they've got to find a way to run the ball successfully, and I know they're going to spend the next week identifying weaknesses, hopefully in the Ohio State front to try to exploit that. Because if it does just turn into Quinn Ewers has got to drop back 35 times and win the game for us. That plays in Ohio State's favor.
Yes,
100%.
We don't win that. You don't win that game. I don't think so.
I think defensively, this is a matchup that Texas has to play a little better in terms of defending the pass. We know, we've seen it already, that Chip Kelly's he's gonna do the same thing Sark does, and he's gonna design and scheme up some offensive plays that are big play hits.
Yes.
And Texas all year has been one of the best in the country at limiting big plays.
Yeah.
So if you can keep Jeremiah Smith,
take him out of
in
game
check,
plan.
if you can keep them from popping big runs, then you're going to have some success. And it's going to turn into a knockdown, drag-out fight, which is what I hope we see. We definitely need that this year. We've had some blowouts in the semifinal round with the football playoff being 4 teams.
Yeah.
I think we have the potential to see 2 really, really good games in the semifinal round.
I hope so, man. I hope so.
Yeah.
It was a good weekend of football. I think it will. I don't think there will be a blowout on either side. If there is a blowout, I feel like it's going to be the Texas-Ohio State game just because of how good Ohio State's playing. But I think we're in for two good games.
All right, so give me your predictions. Your preseason, I don't say preseason, your pre-playoff pick is toast now.
It's already done.
So,
I had Texas still in the national championship. So I'm going to ride with Texas still. I still believe. But I got Penn State. Yeah, hook them. all you Aggie people on my Facebook, get out of here. Go join your little cult. Go back to College Station. But I got Texas against Penn State. I think Penn State will end up beating Notre Dame, and then Marcus Freeman is going to leave Notre Dame and come coach the Dallas Cowboys.
I've got Notre Dame winning that game.
Okay,
like for the reasons I stated earlier, I just think their defense.
Okay, so we're
make enough plays
on that. So I got Penn State, you got Notre Dame.
And Texas was my pick, and
you got to ride with them, Caleb. You got to ride with them.
Yeah,
don't put the bad juju on us.
I'm gonna ride with them.
Right.
But like you said, Ohio State is. I think most people would agree they've looked the best so far in the playoff. The team that played Michigan the last week of the season is not the team we're seeing right now in the last 2 weeks.
That's why I'm scared with Ryan Day, though. Like, they do that, though. They'll play 3 or 4 games where they look unbeatable. And then they'll just throw up a fluke game where they look terrible. I mean, that's just Ryan Day's MO. They can look fantastic. I don't know what it is.
I'm becoming more and more aware of it's just Michigan. Like,
maybe they're scared of Michigan. I don't know.
Michigan just causes Ohio State
the Harbaugh effect.
People to just go haywire
because they play physical. They do play physical football, and if you don't hit them early, then they have momentum, I guess, whatever. Or that's just their culture. Like, they're going to hit you. They're going to play physical football. I mean, that's what it is. But
well, there you have it. Okay, I've got Texas defeating Ohio State in the semifinal round to take on Notre Dame in the national championship. Seth's got Texas and Penn State.
Yep.
Let us know in the comments who you think is going to come out on top.
Yep.
Give us some of your feedback on what you thought of the quarterfinal games.
Yeah, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're also on Apple Podcasts and Spotify now, but we're trying to get to 100 subscribers on YouTube. So please get on YouTube, like and subscribe that, share it around. We'll post on all our social medias, Facebook and TikTok. We're growing and growing, so thanks for the support.
Yeah, blowing up on TikTok right now.
Blowing up on TikTok.
So if you have a TikTok, you can follow us at what? Gibby Knows Sports.
Gibby Knows Sports. I think we're at 42,000 views right now on TikTok. We're a little bit over 4,000 views on YouTube. YouTube's always a little hardest one to boost up your audience, so we're trying to really push that out on YouTube. We have a lot of shorts that are doing really good right now. But if you can like and subscribe, that always helps us. And if you want to sponsor one of these videos in the future, just reach out to me or Caleb, and we can see what we can do.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it, guys.
Well, that's going to do it for episode 4. We'll see you next time. Peace out.
Peace out.